Try to be happy, relentless search for luxury, in search of peace and happiness. The human mind wouldn't rest. A constant nag within we soul, demanding respect from the world. We get the urge in different form, but luxury is the norm. Money is very essential, but can't buy peace of mind at all. We still like dogs without a bone, if we have the money alone. Because appreciation plays on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because importance, if we are drive to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. The feeling has no barrier. Race and class doesn't matter. Once you are alive, you in the game. You do anything to get a good name. Some wealthy men turn to suicide. Can't find food to feed their pride. The aged and crippled in the ring, fight to be like a king. Children become delinquent for lack of love from their parents. That's why appreciation is most important to man. Appreciation plays on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because important, if we are trying to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. Solution to bad industrial relations. Employees will gladly do their pay and do the job half the way. When workman feeling unwanted, the working spirit is daunted. He comes on the job and fool around, production going down. Just make him feel significant. You get him do anything you want. A pat on the back is the best move for relations to improve. Because appreciation is on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because important, if we are drive to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously. Our deepest craving is common. All we need is attention to put us in the happy zone, regardless of what we own. Life is lonely without it. Each one should give a little bit. Do what you want your neighbors do, then life on earth will be true. Take a tip from the scripture. Appreciate one another. Share your love and make the mold for total peace in the world. Appreciation plays on the human mind. Everyone needs some for happiness all the time. Because important, if we are trying to live, everyone's on the hunt. Every man ought to give generously.
Could we rise again as a nation?
What do you mean? Could we rise again as a nation?
Okay, because the state of the country.
What do you mean by the state of the country? I don't understand that. Explain me.
Right, the country have plenty money.
Plenty money?
Yeah.
How you know that? So you have to tell me I have a child. Tell me now. How you know that? Gentlemen, thank you for the day. I can't really understand that.
Oh mama, oh yo yo yo, my nation is giving way. Prophecy unfolding, judgment in morning. I love you still, mommy.
When will it end? Tell me, how did we come this way?
Oh my Trinidad and Tobago.
While the nation still hope and pray, the devil busy, I say.
Oh my Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh no, no, I'm feeling the pain for you, mama. Revelation strikes at your corner. Still we are holding on. Your children have lost their way, fighting for survival each day. Oh no, no, going from dawn till dawn. What is happening to my country? Every day is a sacrifice. Blood flowing like water daily. Lives could be lost.
Will be something historic. So thank you again for joining us. Several matters, and I may have, oh, thank you. I may have something up on the screen, which we will share the document with you. Where is the money coming from? I've shared with you some ways. There are other ways that we'll be exploring to bring in more revenue. But there's been a lot of wastage of taxpayers' monies in almost every ministry. So I want to talk, as I say, about government rentals. This has caused a massive expenditure. Billions of dollars have been spent without transparency. The government owns existing buildings and land, and therefore investments should be directed towards upgrading existing buildings to appropriate standards and constructing our own buildings to house ministries and government departments. So what is happening? You have some landlords. We use the expression "eat a food." Landlords feeding from the trough of the state. The total rent paid for properties leased by government, rented by government from private land and landlords, the total spent in the last fiscal year alone, fiscal 2024, was $493 million. This is like dead money because it's not like you're getting anything from it back. It's just like an investment of almost $500 million. That's $500 million we're talking about. And that has been spent in just that fiscal year. On the listings of the Ministry of Public Administration, on their master list. Are we okay? Yeah. The Ministry of Public Admin has a master list where we see what government is paying for rentals. And the government is supposed to be paying to landlords about $21.5 million per month in government rentals. There are 235 active leases, and I'll come back to it. 234 active leases and $260 million paid on those active leases. The rent paid by government, ministries and agencies do not match the figures on the ministry's master list. Let me repeat that. The rent paid by government ministries and agencies do not match the figures on a master list of properties rented by government, which is provided by the Ministry out of Public Admin. Some of the properties for which rents are being paid, are not even on that master list in the Ministry of Public Admin. They're not even on the list, the master list. I don't even want to call them ghost rentals. The government is paying, as I say, almost $500 million a year in rentals. There are large differences between what was actually paid to property owners and what was supposed to be paid, again, according to the master list kept at the Ministry of Public Admin. There's an unexplained variance of total rent paid for year 24 of $208 million. There is an unexplained variance of total rentals paid for 2024 of $208 million. There are variances between the rent paid versus rent on the master list of $21.8 million for the judiciary, for example, $24.8 million for the Ministry of Finance, $47.9 million for the Ministry of Health, $31.4 million for TTPS, $10.6 million for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. These are just a few of them. Two companies, GV Holdings and NJ Nahus Investments Limited, were paid over $15 million in rent per year for properties rented by government. And regrettably, these leases, there are no current leases. So two companies I mentioned, and the others, we share the list with you, paid over $15 million in rent per year, rented by government, no current lease. There is no lease. And there is no cabinet approval. No cabinet approval. So taxpayers' money is being expended in this manner, and you want to know where the money going. Of the 234 properties, there are 193 properties. Leases have expired. The rentals are on a month-to-month basis. So we have no lease agreements to verify the rent amounts, the payment methods, and with respect to regulations regarding the properties, government's responsibilities regarding maintenance, legal protections for government in case of disputes, and rights to the use of the property. No one can confirm if these properties still meet the criteria for rental, or if they still possess all requisite approvals for fire, health, and safety, and other areas of concern. So in reality, as of now, there is no official support.
Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster, because whether it's the dribbles or the
no cabinet approval. The properties which Mr. Arwari's family has great interest in, costs taxpayers 1.7 million per month. The majority of the leases are for the following locations, costs per month. Port of Spain, 66 leases, 9.5 million. Sawa, 17 leases, 1.3 million. San Fernando, 1.3 million, 22 leases. Shogunas, 0.6 million, 10 leases. Arima, 0.5 million, 11 leases. The data reveals the following. The most expensive rental per square foot in the country is, of course, in Port of Spain. It amounts to an average of 23.81 per square foot, $23.81 per square foot. When you look at Chaguanas, rentals there is $8.71 to $6.33 per square foot. So between $8 and $6 to $8 per square foot rental. San Fernando, the rentals range from $12.71 to $3.06 per square foot. So a grave discrepancy, which you expect different places in the country. The bottom line is, it is cheaper to rent outside of Port of Spain. And as I said, when I spoke, recently I spoke to you and I said, there is a country beyond the lighthouse. At the moment, everything is concentrated in Port of Spain. When you have to come to Port of Spain to work, you are stuck in traffic. Now, I had begun a process when I was last had the opportunity to serve as Prime Minister. We were trying to move out some of them, decentralize, for people to have access to ministries outside of Port of Spain, but also to help us decant Port of Spain so that you don't get everybody trying to get into Port of Spain every day, every morning for hours stuck in traffic. We did that with the, what was then the test building, that was the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training. And it was subsequently changed from that ministry, test, to ministry, now still is agriculture. So that building is somewhere in Chaguanas. That was a building built on government lands and built by government. So you wouldn't get that kind of rental that you have to pay. So what is our plan as I share this with you? In the short term, 82% of all leases, 193 properties have already expired and rolled into month-to-month tenancy. So no lease there, month-to-month. Therefore, we propose to renegotiate with the landlords the prices of renters to reduce our rental bill. The Ministry of Public Admin will undertake this exercise to help save taxpayers money. Now, many of these properties, when they initially rented, many moons ago, the circumstances in the country would have been different. The economic circumstances would have been different, and therefore the value of lands and the value of rentals would have been higher than where we are now. We all know relative values, what has happened to them over the past decade, past 10 years. So we would want to renegotiate first with the landlords, where those who have viable leases, legal leases, to see how we can negotiate downwards. That's in the short-term plan. The median rent in Trinidad and Tobago, median rent, I gave you Port of Spain, I gave you Arima, San Fernando, I think Chaguanas. The median rent in Trinidad and Tobago is $7.23 per square foot. $7.23 per square foot, that's the median. 24% of leases, that is 55 properties, exceed that median. $9.26 per square feet, some exceed $20 per square foot. That can't be doing good business. It cannot be right, especially when we have to find things to fix drains, to stop flooding, to help poor families get a meal, to be able to eat a meal, fix schools, repair schools in the vacation, try to open that day campus. We need money. And therefore, we have to find ways of cost cutting. So we will negotiate in the short term. My minister here, Transport Minister of Public Admin, Mr. Dominic, we will put our heads together to work it. Most of the very exorbitant rentals were set, as I said before, at a time when the economy was different. Prices of oil and gas were at a high. The economy has changed, and the renters will also have to reflect that change. For landlords who wish not to engage in renegotiation, We will have no choice as a government to seek alternative accommodation in other areas where we could get cheaper rentals, cheaper buildings in the short term. Now remember, when we rent these buildings, you pay for the upkeep of those buildings. Taxpayers pay for it. The government pays. The government means you, the taxpayer. So in addition to giving these landlords their rentals, the government to use the building, then you have to spend the money now to upkeep it. So that's an added cost there as well. The government owns many properties that are not currently in use. They can be repurposed to house many of these ministries and agencies. We have already identified a few properties and we are seeking out others. So those that we own and they are not being fully utilized, we can look at them and again try to cut and save money, cut costs and save money. So short-term plans, renegotiate. I've instructed Minister Saddam Hussein, who together with Minister Ratiram has the portfolio of land at the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Fisheries. I've asked them to identify appropriate and suitable lands. This is in the medium and long term now. Suitable state lands for the construction of buildings to house ministries and government departments. This will not happen overnight, but we will continue where we started. I mentioned you before, during 2010 to 15, where we were creating homes for ministries. We intend to save money so the money which was wasted in rentals can now be channeled towards more productive measures. We will release the existing list to the public in the interest of transparency. This is your money. This is taxpayers' money, and you have a right to know where your money is being spent. So Minister has been given the authority to release that list of the rentals for you to see what has been happening in secret and in some cases illegally. We have one building that does not have approval to be a commercial building, but is being rented as a commercial building on a month-to-month basis, no lease. They applied for a change of user in all these years. I don't know why they never got a change of user, but the government continues to pay a commercial rate for a building that is not approved as a commercial building. And there are many instances, Minister can share with us more of that. If public members don't want people to know that we are renting your building, that the government is renting your building with taxpayers' money, well, too bad for you. Don't rent out your building. Do not rent out your building if you don't want people to know that you are renting your building to the government. Simple as that. So don't come and cry and plead privacy. There's no privacy when we're spending taxpayer dollars. There can be no defense of privacy. You don't want your name out there, no. And I'm coming for those eater feed lawyers soon, you know. You'll be amazed at the amount of money being spent, but you can't give us a name. You can't tell us what they did for the millions of dollars they're collecting, because why privacy rights? When you're collecting taxpayers' dollars are public monies, and therefore you cannot use a defense of privacy. So we will share this with you, Minister. We'll get it to you all if you want it, and you will see who these persons are. I move to another area again where a lot of money is being spent. Contracted security services. The government is spending $500 million, another $500 million there on contracted security services. I am not here speaking of TTPS. I'm not speaking about the Army or any of the protective services. This is contracted security services. Well, yes, the country is in a bad way. They have left us in a bad way with crime. And so, yes, we need security. But we are spending $500 million paying private businesses to provide security. The Ministry of Education accounts for almost $200 million. The THA about $80 million. The judiciary about $70 million. National security about $30 million. We are trying to get the contracts to account for the $500 million with the intention on getting savings. This cost is too high. Again, we must know who these people are. Again, you cannot hide behind privacy defenses because you're spending public money. I move to another area, property tax. The property tax collections for the period from February 29, 2024 to May 2025. This is just one period. 2024 February to May this year, 2025. Total payment received for each corporation. I'll read them for you. Arima Borough Corporation, 3.9 million. Chaguanas Borough Corporation, 11.5 million. Kuva Tabaki Talparo Corporation, 16.7 million. Diego Martin Regional Corporation, 16.9 million. Pinal Debe Corporation, 10.8 million. Point Fortin Borough Corporation, 1.7 million. Port of Spain City Corporation, 4.38 million. Princeton Corporation, 7.5 million. Rio Claro Mayaro Corporation, 1.6 million. San Fernando City Corporation, 11.3 million. Samuel Laventil Corporation, 12.1 million. Sandy Grande Regional Corporation, 3.3 million. Sapara Regional Corporation, 6 million. Tobago House of Assembly, 4.07 million. This is the amount of property tax received for in just this 1 year. And February 24 to May 2025. Tunapuna Corporation, 23.2 million. Okay, so this is received by the government. People went and paid their property tax, and I told them, don't pay it. I warn people, do not pay this property tax. But if you want to pay, pay. It's a free country. So this is what they paid. A total of $135 million in property tax. Collected. 135.6 million collected. Again, I said, I warn people, don't pay it. You decide to pay it, that is on you. The last government collected this property tax. Today, I want to ask Faris Alwari and others in that government, what did you do with the money you collected for the property tax? What have you done with the millions that you collected from property tax? They need to give us an account of what they did with that money. Again, people in good faith complied with what was in the law and paid it. So these are areas we're looking at. Another area looking at, and my Minister of Transport is here. Minister will talk to you about these with your questions. Bus route passes. You know, power is an amazing thing. They say too much power, they say power corrupts, but too much power corrupts absolutely corrupts. A simple thing as a bus route pass was being used like you're giving out kiss cake or what you call it, cookies, you know, hops bread, bake, whatever. Wasn't roti they were giving out, boy. This thing was like really like, you know, like little gifts without substance. So we had cause to review this. The issuing of PBR passes. There's a category known as letter passes for private motor vehicles. These passes were issued at the direction of the minister. They're usually for short-term use, less than 1 year. The amount issued has significantly exceeded intended numbers. There are over 625 of these passes in circulation. 625. I'm not talking here about passes for policemen. I'm not talking about passes for the fire services. I'm not talking here about passes for ambulance services. I'm not talking here about any official services. These are private letter passes that the minister sign a piece of paper and give it to you. And when you get it, it costs the state money to give you this pass to use the bus route. I'll continue on that now. So 625. Many of these have been issued without proper documentation. In some cases, we don't even have the names. We don't even have license plate numbers. We don't have position or titles. We don't have affiliated agencies. In many instances, some people get more than one of these special passes, more than one. So when you give the husband, you give the wife and the children. Those are family business, friends and family. All these letter passes, we will recall them. They will all, 625 will be recalled. And persons can then reapply. Minister, is that the plan? Yeah, persons can reapply, and let's see your criteria and why you get it. it can't be that. Look, here's a list. Here's a list. I think this is it. We'll give that to you as well, and you can see who are the persons who were so lucky to get this special pass from the minister. You will see them. So we will recall all. They will be recalled on or before July 1, Minister, July 1. So as of today, they are being recalled and you have up to July 1. That's it. Then they will be defunct. You cannot use them anymore. And then persons with genuine needs, Minister gave me an example. He said, like, there's a person who has to go for, cancer treatment, but then they go once a week, or if they go for dialysis. So they have special. So on Tuesdays, I have to go for my appointment. We consider giving you a letter pass on that day to help you, help people in need. Don't help your friends and family. Help people who need it. So persons can reapply, but there will be stricter controls moving forward. Affected government agencies will be issued permanent or temporary passes where necessary. Here's the list there. You Minister, you want me to call some names? You want to hear some of the names or give it to you? Yes, look at you all. You all like Bacchanal, eh? Yep. Anyway, let's see, Minister. Maybe Minister can help me because the list is so long. It's around 600 and something here. Minister, you want to help me? You can come in here.
That's who?
Huh?
That's who?
That's another issue. Mhm. Okay, which one do you want me to read? Okay, just read from here. Somebody by the name of Jenny Scott, I don't know what's her claim to fame. Somebody by the name of Ricky Ragunanan, Ruth Ragunanan, Regis Ragunanan, Sunita Ragunanan, Anita Ragunanan.
Missing a lot of names.
Yeah, look at all these here, and still showing me on the list. No names. Absolutely no names. No phone, no license plate number. Nothing. Huh? Ghosts. Ghosts. Wow. I don't take much joy in doing this. I think I'll just send you all the list, okay? Yes. You'll be surprised at some of the names you will find here. Anthony Manuel, anybody knows that person? I think he's a lawyer. I know the name offhand. Shira Rampasad. Look at these here. Well, when you get it, you will study it, okay? I have more things to talk about. This will be stopped. People will reapply and they will be given the opportunity to make a case, and we'll give those who really need it. Now, remember, these letter passes are not the ones that are given out for officials, as I said, police, not police, officials who function. Huh?
Members of Parliament.
Members of Parliament, judiciary, other officials of the government. So these are just a little letter the man gives it to you. Mister, how much is costing the government?
It's costing $145 per letter pass, not including the labor.
Yeah. So those are some things we have to look at. Do you know maxi taxi operators have to pay to get a pass to be on the bus route? Do we know that?
So it's $1,200 a year.
$1,200 a year. But you have these friends and family not paying 5 cents, and costing you told me it was 65 million or something earlier.
No, it costs
per year.
1.2 million a year.
1.2 million a year. And they're not paying for that. But the maxi fellows who making a living and a livelihood have to pay this $1,200. I'm moving along now. A project that was very close to my heart and remains very close to my heart and to all of us and many of us is at DB campus, the UWI campus. One of the goals of that campus was to ease the burden of parents who are forced to pay high rentals towards rent, food, yeah, for their children to come up to St. Augustine to spend years. That's one part of it. Not to mention the crime. Not to mention the traffic congestion for everybody heading to the one campus, St. Augustine. And of course, spaces are limited. Only so many could get that high education. And that is why we came up in my time, our government then, some of us were there, with the UWI Davie campus for the people of the South. It didn't mean that St. Augustine was gone. For the people up here, they will continue. And therefore, more spaces would have been created. St. Augustine spaces would remain, and then more spaces for children. But that was not all. It was also to help us earn money. Because as we create spaces there, students from outside would come, and they will have to pay to come to the university, pay to rent a house, pay to buy food. So we'll be creating some forex coming into Trinidad as well. So yes, it's an educational service that we were providing to make sure our people are prepared for the world of work and for life, but also could provide some revenue for us. So let me tell you something, right? I am from South. Some of you know the highway, where it is and where it stops and when it starts and whatever. In those days, all these years, not no highway, you know. To get in up here, you're spending hours to get here. And as I already mentioned, you can't even want to do it on a daily basis. You have to do it, you have to rent somewhere. And if your parents can't afford that rent, sorry, you can't come to St. Augustine. You can't get an education. That is not fair. That cannot ever be fair to all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. When I talked about UWI campus, you know, back in the day, some people started to cry and know why they want a next campus. We want a next campus because we want as many persons as possible to be educated, who want to be educated. So we began that campus. And when we left, that campus was almost complete, in tip-top shape. I heard Murilal say the moot court we built down there, it was like The Hague. Yeah. It was such a nice moot court for the students and law to use. We had a purpose for that. And so that campus, we will make sure, we made that pledge to you, we will make sure that campus is open. But it's not going to happen tomorrow morning. It will not happen in August. I don't know where and who came up that it's going to be opened in August, because when the ministers visited, the place is a total horror story. What was the word? Horrific? You use the word horrific? The place is a dump. That place is about 7 to 10 minutes from my home, so I have to pass there every day. I pass there every day and see that wonderful state-of-the-art campus that we left, buildings that we left, covered in bush, covered in rust. What a shame. What a betrayal. I think the biggest betrayal was the role of officials at the University of the West Indies in the 10-year closure of this campus. Not a word in 10 years. No people running out there and want to open campus in August. 10 years shut down, not a word. That campus was sidelined, it was abandoned. There's no effort seriously by UWI administrators to operationalize that campus. Similar to what they did with the Cuba Hospital, but I'll talk about that on another day. That campus will house what the government says it will house. The administration will have no say in that. They cannot dictate to us what they want to put there. I don't know where they come up with this thing about some global medical school. Don't we have the...
Was that your great-grandfather leading armies to battle? Or your great-aunt lending strength whenever it was needed?
We did the Sanford Teaching Hospital, thank you. So what you come in or some global medical, where you get that from? Well, I find a piece of paper, I haven't seen it yet, I'm still looking. So I think the biggest betrayal with this whole thing was by the administrators, those in charge at the UWI. That is our decision to make, what will be housed there. The UWI had 10 years to step up. Today, it is time for them to step aside and let us get on with the business of getting this campus open. That campus will be open. Over 10 years, thousands of children have lost that chance to go to university because they just simply could not afford to come to St. Augustine. They could not afford it. And how many thousands in 10 years would have been educated with a tertiary level education if there had not been spite, malice, and ill will in just keeping that place shut down? so many would have been able to go today. I say shame on those people at the UWI and the administrators for the wickedness that they helped the last government commit on the children of the poor and working classes, and not just in South, This would have helped people in deep South, all the way from Citrus on the peninsula, all the way from Mayaro. What is this? You have no supporters down there? San Fernando East is a PNM constituency. They would have benefited. Yes. They would have benefited. San Fernando West was a PNM. They would have benefited. So down in La Brea, yes, thank you. Minister is here, I think from La Brea, yes. Minister Clyde. La Brea, they would have benefited. Point 14 would have benefited. So those with the racist agendas in their brain and in their mind, they see that campus opening in David, boy. No, nothing for you. But that campus was for the people from Point all along the peninsula coming right up, down in that peninsula, down the other side, Mayaro, coming back up this way. South, Central, Deep South. What kind of spite and malice, man, that you would deprive children of an opportunity? I am not going to allow the UWI to sabotage our plans or take over our plans. We are very clear what we want to do. We were clear then, and we are clearer now. And now, with 10 years later, we can do so much more. So yes, we set a law faculty there. I talked about doing forensics. I talked about doing law enforcement training. In other areas, we could have opened up. And now with the AI and the technology in the world, those are some other areas that we can explore for training for our children. So I'm warning UE administration, do not test me. If I have to do it, and if we have to do it, I will take that campus back and put it under government control to make sure we complete it, get the job done. And I hope you will give us that support, because you have done nothing for 10 years. So don't come and cry now of what you could do and cannot do and why. You didn't even tell us why you didn't do it for 10 years. So don't come now and put in big thing in the papers every day like you running this campus. No, do not test us. We will get this open. I will not let this 5 years pass without that campus be open. We will get it done. And where will I get the money? Wait, you'll see. Munilal will now tell you where we'll get some of that money. So, Minister, you come, and I'll just do one more, and then I'll pass on to you. Revenue projects. We are engaging stakeholders and investors to bring to our country in the near future RFPs for revenue-generating projects. We'll put out more of this as we get into our midterm review, which will come up shortly in June, Minister. Midterm review is June, yes. So whilst we are working to save money, cutting some costs, we also are fully aware that we have to get revenue streams. We have to bring in money. So don't think we just talk about spending money. We are working, Minister of Trade, Minister of Planning, Minister of Finance, working really hard to get investment projects to bring money. So whilst we have projects for the revenue to come in the energy sector, we are not placing all our eggs in the energy basket. We are also looking for investments and revenue from the non-energy sector. So we have it on the plans, and we share them as we go along. So I want to let you know, your government is getting down to work. We'll have teaching issues as everybody else. We will sort them out. I see Philip is here. We will fix it. Together we will fix it. So do not despair. I ask you all to be confident, be courageous, and go about your lives. Go about your lives with hope. And let us work together. Go with positivity. Don't take the negativity. We had too long of that. 10 years of negative in this country. Rest assured, whatever comes our way, your government will handle it. We will fix it. So I thank you, and I'll ask Minister of Energy to share some areas within the energy sector. Thank you. I have a cheering audience today. I have a fan club today. As Minister comes, a short while ago, I met with the officials from the U.S. Embassy to discuss areas of cooperation for energy security as well as for other security. And Minister will share some of that and what we plan to do in the energy sector. until we have you guys, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Today, just a few minutes to indicate that a very important decision taken today at the Cabinet authorized the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries to embark on a very important trip along with a small delegation to the United States of America in the period May 28th to 30th to travel to Washington, D.C. and to undertake a series of important meetings to have discussions in the United States with officials of the United States Department of Energy, with officials of the Department of the Secretary of State, and with officials of the Treasury Department to discuss Trinidad and Tobago's future collaboration with the United States in the area of energy security and to focus on strengthening ties between both countries. In the United States, we will also engage with senior officials, apart from State Treasury and Energy, but also with officials of Shell Global, the Americas Council, the Inter-American Dialogue. We will meet senior officials of those organizations to discuss with them our mutually beneficial interests in the area of security. I can also indicate that this comes at a very critical time since we have inherited, I think as everyone knows, we have inherited an energy sector in significant decline, both in the production of gas and oil, and of course with consequences for the petrochemical sector. This is a very important mission in keeping with our strategic focus as outlined by the Honorable Prime Minister to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago re-emerge as the energy hub of the Caribbean, and particularly at a time like this where we are now joined by other territories such as Grenada, Suriname, and Guyana as major energy players of today and the future. So that the meetings in the United States we propose to attend next week will share our views and will engage in very serious dialogue with significant officials in the United States and Washington, D.C. I'd also like to say, really on a related point, that we have reached out to several CARICOM territories, as we reported, and just yesterday we received a response from energy officials in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana that again indicated, apart from extending their congratulations to the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her party on the recent overwhelming victory at the polls, officials of the Energy Ministry in Guyana have, of course, agreed to partner and collaborate with Trinidad and Tobago in a very meaningful way. And the very first thing that they raised was to resuscitate what was called then a working group. It was established, we believe, several years ago and allowed to collapse, allowed to reach in a state of inaction where nothing happened. And they have already raised that as an item that we could look at resuscitating this group. It may not be called by the same name, but it will involve working together in real time on significant partnerships with Guyana. We have also reached out, of course, to other areas, and we expect in the coming days to get involved in discussions with them. With Grenada as well, we have had discussions, informal discussions with officials in Grenada, and we expect that very soon we will make a short visit. It is not very far, so it's certainly not prohibitive and will not take too much time. So we will visit to discuss their ongoing concerns in the gas sector and some of the problems that they have encountered where Trinidad and Tobago can help. In closing, I would just want to put on record that one of the startling realizations of becoming energy minister was that until today, Trinidad and Tobago, believe it or not, the government played no role in the energy sectors in those territories that are now becoming global players. What happened is that the private sector, of their own work, of their own volition, by virtue of their own networking skills and professional conduct, they got involved in those sectors with absolutely no help from the government. So the government never had a footprint. And that is what we are looking at today, to ensure that the government plays a significant role. In fact, in one project by the National Energy Corporation, you'd be surprised to know that they tendered for work in Guyana, had a very good chance to win a significant contract to establish the gas infrastructure onshore, because as you know, they're taking gas offshore in Guyana. NEC, National Energy Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, put in a bid, and there is a good possibility that they could have won, and they were instructed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago at that time to withdraw, that they ought not to go further and participate in the energy sector in Guyana. Today, I can tell you another energy company, Phoenix Park Gas, is also involved in a bid for work and to establish a presence there, which will help Trinidad and Tobago in so many ways. And we have indicated that they should pursue that and get a footprint in Guyana and other places as well, so that we can become, again, a significant energy player in the Caribbean. That will redound to Trinidad and Tobago, of course, by virtue of income, revenue, foreign exchange as well. And so there are exciting possibilities there. And in a few weeks, we will go to Suriname, I believe. There's a major gas conference there that it's important that Trinidad and Tobago also returns to that, to that mode of being a significant player, if not the most significant player, as we were decades ago, as we were quite until 2015. In 2015, this country was the Caribbean energy leader. And then, of course, it went south after, and those developments took place. So those are the few items I've raised.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And if I could just say on that UWITO, that campus there is on over 100 acres of land. I have had the good fortune, sugarcane land. I've had the good fortune to go to many university campuses in the world, including the Caribbean. And that, when completed, will be among the best university campus. I say the world, because I've seen from India, China, all over. It is beautiful, it is unbelievable, but they have left it in a state that really would shock you and bring tears to your eyes. So I leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Good. Minister Sturge will speak to you. As you know, tomorrow, the deportees from the U.S. will land in Trinidad. The deportees will land in Trinidad and Tobago from the U.S., so Minister will address you on that issue, please.
Good evening, everyone. At around 1:30 a.m. on Friday, 21 nationals of Trinidad and Tobago would be returned to our jurisdiction, having been subject to deportation orders from the United States. We had meetings this week, first of all, with Vision on Mission, and having regard to concerns they expressed, we decided to invite 3 stakeholders, namely the Chief of Defense Staff, the SIU head, Superintendent Edwards, and the Chief Immigration Officer, with a view to ensuring that the debriefing and transition goes smoothly. What happened prior, the agency Vision on Mission many times would not know who the deportees were and would have to wait outside of the airport building to try to ascertain who the deportees were and whether they needed assistance. As of Friday coming, the Immigration Department, they've agreed to facilitate Vision on Mission and to have them get a room allocated to them, so that when the deportees arrive, they'll be taken into the room, they'll be debriefed. Vision on Mission would indicate to them what services they provide, what is available to them, and in terms of housing and so on. And they would be facilitated by immigration. In addition to that, the TTPS, the SIU in particular, and other units within the TTPS would photograph, swab, and take fingerprints of the deportees and would take statements. We are faced with a situation where prior, when there were deportations, the U.S. authorities would provide what they term a care package, where we would be provided with a comprehensive brief with respect to each of the persons being deported. If we are to go by the last set of persons deported, the information provided is not much, apart from name, offense, date of birth, and things like that. We've reached out this week. We've asked the CDS and the PermSec to reach out to our U.S. counterparts with a view to having them swabbed for DNA, to have them fingerprinted, and to have a fuller brief prepared so that we know in advance what to anticipate. And if we had fingerprinting done, then we would know in advance whether there are persons with outstanding warrants and so on. If there's DNA swabbing in advance, we would have an idea whether there are persons we need to look at. We've not had much success, so as a result, we've put things in place so that these persons, when they arrive, they'll be swabbed, fingerprinted, and the different units of the TTPS would take statements. There are 3 persons among the 21 who do not have any criminal history. We do not propose to subject them to that level of scrutiny. There's no basis for doing so. And their deportations are as a result of immigration violations and so on. Among the 3, we understand that 1 person would be homicide. There are 3 sexual persons who committed sexual offenses, 2 of them offenses against children, so in essence, pedophiles. And 1 person who was engaged in human trafficking. These are persons we have an interest in because it is now settled that the persons with sexual offenses, sexual offense convictions recorded against them, that we can have them registered on the sex offenders registry. There was a divergence of views on that, but we are settled and we are of the considered view that they can be registered so that there's protection for society and there's the ability of the police to monitor them. So there's no need for undue concern. I don't know if you all have any questions. That is as much as we have at this stage, but I'm open to taking questions.
We'll take your questions after.
Sorry? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll take your questions after.
Yes.
Minister.
Good day, everyone. For the last number of years, the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services, after communication with the Chief Fire Officer, has been understaffed. As a result of that, today, the Honorable Prime Minister, this cabinet, took a decision to have 280 auxiliary fire officers absorbed into the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services. This is a situation where since 2018, November 30th, when the then government shut down Petrotrin, a number of officers had to be called out to man the fire stations down at the Petrotrin headquarters and other areas of concern. So the cabinet took this decision today to absorb 280 auxiliary police officers into the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services. Fire officers, sorry, into the fire services. So, having said that, there's no major cost. There's no cost at all to this process. And persons, after speaking to the Chief Fire Officer, is concerned was the understaff of those persons there
How much is the shortage?
the shortage at this time is 420 as of this month. So 420 officers short. So what we did, we augment the strength, and they should have a recruitment taking place in the not too distant future to bring them up to par. So again, this took place today and was approved by Cabinet under the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, Ms. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. Yeah?
Thank you. Okay, so we open for questions, and the two ministers I spoke on the areas. Any further questions about the PBR passes and about the property rentals? So all ministers are open for your questions, please.
Good afternoon, Priya Bihari, AZP News. Prime Minister, the property tax, people who paid, would they get a rebate or not? Can you clarify that?
I think that has been asked and answered, and I refer you to the Minister of Finance.
So it's just he's here.
Yes.
Can he say whether we'll get a rebate? Welcome to rebate.
We did that last week, prior. Let's move along.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
The after the 1 deportees, when they come, would it be monitored? I mean, afterwards, and how long would and where would they stay, and how long would they be monitored?
Not all of them would need to be housed at Vision on Mission. We are trying to ascertain in advance, and if we don't, we'll make an assessment when they arrive at the airport, because some of them they've been out of the jurisdiction for decades, we understand, so they may have lost touch with many of their relatives. They may not have places to stay and so on. The ones, there's a phenomenon because they, in essence, network before they arrive. And sometimes when they network, they are given names to tell to immigration that I'm going to stay here or there. Sometimes these names turn out to be persons associated with gangs and gang leaders and so on, and that is what we are trying to avoid. So the question you asked about whether they'll be monitored, as far as possible, those who need to be monitored would be monitored. And if after a period of time passes and we see that their trajectory is in the right direction, there'll be no need for monitoring. But we are trying as far as possible to assist them because they've been.
The future of trading is here on Robinhood. Got safety protocols? Granger has the safety pros to call. Shop our vast inventory.
And they'll be need to assist them somewhat. But once they are bent on going in a certain direction, we've put things in place which I ought not to say now, but we've put things in place to ensure that we know exactly where they are going and how we can best monitor them.
Just for clarification, the Piparo Empowerment Center, is that not being used?
Let me say the short answer is no, it can't be, because it's being used right now. We had been given conflicting information, and that is why that issue came up. But the short answer is no, it's not available. And
given the US's drive for deportations, what do you think the future of deportations will look like? Are we expecting an avalanche of deportees coming in? What's the plan for that? And for Dr. Munila, when you have your meeting, do you think that will come up in your meeting as well?
Well, we don't want to speculate. We understand the diaspora is 350,000 Trinidadians in the United States, but we can't assume what portion would be deported. But what we can do in advance is prepare for the eventuality, and that is something that we need to discuss.
Is that being discussed on your level, you think? Is that coming up?
No. Let me say, we have also strict instructions from the Honorable Prime Minister to stay in our lane, and that is not in the lane.
I said stay in your section.
The section. So those matters, of course, if raised, we will, of course, defer to Minister Sturge and the government of Trinidad and Tobago. It's not a matter as an agenda item.
Okay.
Madam Prime Minister, good evening. At this stage, Jesse Ramdev, CNC3 News. In your opening remarks, you alluded to the fact that there's some nearly $500 million rental paid for fiscal 2024. You announced both short-term, medium to long-term measures to, address that. What's the expected savings in terms of perhaps the short-term measure, how much you're hoping to save? And you identified JV and NOWs among the
Others. There are many
yes,
others.
right.
The list will be shared.
Will government even consider doing business with them going further?
The government will do business with anyone who's a legal bona fide person residing in the country or is a citizen. Yes, we will. I'm not going to handpick anyone and say, I don't want everybody has an equal chance and an equal opportunity in the democracy that we have. So nobody's going to be blacklisted, if that's your question.
In terms of the process, buying property at the moment, has government earmarked any property as yet?
To buy? No. What we've looked. Minister, you want to help, please? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. To answer your question, put simply, we've done an assessment, and that assessment has revealed a lot of what the Prime Minister has mentioned here today. The government has a mandate to utilize the resources of Trinidad and Tobago in the most efficient way. And one of the ways that we've looked at in the Ministry of Public Administration is looking at ways in which we can, one, cut costs, and two, utilize our current allocations as efficient as possible. So at this time, we're in assessment phase, and we've now given you some details of that assessment. And in due course, you will receive the documentation that the Prime Minister has suggested. We will pass on all those details to you.
Hi, Madam Prime Minister, Gregory McBurney from Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. In terms of the security fees, will these security contracts be renegotiated? Will they be cancelled? Or are you hoping for any sort of savings with the security fees? And if they are cancelled, will the police be used instead to supplement that shortage?
Okay, well, I will use my colleague's words. We are in the assessment stage, so there is nothing about terminating anyone at this point in time. We will assess the situation and take decisions as we see necessary in the best interests of everyone. Again, no blacklisting, no nothing, but we do have to cut costs.
Okay. You mentioned in terms of the Debe campus, of course, if that is reopened, you're going to see an increase in the number of people. Well, the hope is, I think, in terms of accessing tertiary education. One of the promises made when you won the campaign trail is the expansion of gates, and I think these scholarships as well were mentioned. What is the process where we're at with expanding gates and increasing the number of scholarships?
Sir, today makes week 3. Today, Thursday, is exactly 3 weeks since I was sworn in as your Prime Minister. Again, I don't want to hide from you. I will tell you, we are in the assessment stage still. So we are looking at it. Yes, there will be expansions in numbers and in costs. And there will be other ways we can help make up part of the cost. I mentioned it briefly, but I can expand on it, that we can invite foreign students to come as well. As full-paying students, they won't have gate and they won't have the other facilities. They will bring us some forex as well. So we are looking at that aspect to increasing revenue flows and cutting costs, and to help defray some of the costs. So somebody told me, when the media asks a question, and I shared it with my colleagues, and if you don't know the answer right away, don't try to make it up. And so today I'm not going to make that up. We are in assessment. This is the reality check as of today, and then we'll give you proposals as we go forward. Okay.
Good afternoon, Anna Ramdas from the Express. Prime Minister, you mentioned that with respect to the government rentals, that there are some properties that are not even on the master list.
That's right.
And you made mention of ghost rentals. So doesn't this constitute fraud, and would the police be asked to look into this?
Minister, I think those are some plans. You want to answer that, please? Yeah.
Again, at this time, we wouldn't want to proffer too much information while we're in the assessment phase, but keep in mind, as the Prime Minister would have outlined, most ministers are in office about 3 weeks now. So give us the time to go through the proper process and procedure. And we are a government of transparency. So in due time and in due course, all will be brought to light. Thank you.
I have a question for Dr. Moilal. The university shared some pictures on its Facebook page, and the pictures looked, really good. The classrooms and whatnot. And then you shared pictures which were totally contradictory to what those images are. So can the media be invited as well to see what the campus really looks like and what is really the truth? Is it your pictures or is it the university's pictures?
Anna, there's only one truth, the real truth. So if you want to come down, we'll bring you down.
We can arrange. We can arrange that. Yeah.
There's only one truth.
Yeah, but there's one truth. But just to bear in mind that Roy Tech has been involved for a few months alone at that campus. The Roy Tech pays a rent, I think, of $46,000 a month. And by virtue of Roy Tech's presence, not the central UWI, they have fixed a couple classrooms for Roy Tech use, right? Because they're running some courses and so on there. 75% of the campus is really in a bad state, and we have shared some images of that. Yeah,
Horrific.
In a horrific state.
Hi, good evening, Siudat Prasad, your radio, Minister Alexander. You spoke about staff shortage at the fire service and absorbing the auxiliary officers into the full fire service. How about fire equipment? We have been hearing a lot about shortages and stations not fully equipped. What is taking place from your end to deal with that?
Well, we are still assessing some of the equipment that they're supposed to have or supposed to have obtained over the years without success. We also got the opportunity to look at the ladders. Yeah, the ladders. The ladders. And I'm hoping that at this time they would have placed enough diesel on it so the termites would not take it all. However, as I said, we are reevaluating to see what is necessary for them to be on top of their game at this time, to make sure that the fire service, all hands on deck, with the right equipment on deck for a successful service to members of the public.
They want to share the report into the fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know that you all asking a lot of questions about the fire that took place in the Arima district involving the former MP. We have perused the document. We want to bring it to members of the public, but we want our lawyers to guide us accordingly just before. So as soon as we get proper communication from our lawyers, our many attorneys, then we'll be able to share it with members of the public. All right, we're late in Parliament, so you can get an understanding of it. I hope that is all right with you.
Yeah, thank you. To the Prime Minister, having regard to the UNC's campaign promise to develop the local cannabis sector, which is now official government policy, cannabis, and the dire need to create new revenue streams, is appointment of a cannabis licensing authority board, which is foundational to regulating the industry, issuing licenses and conducting public education awareness, etc. Is appointment of this cannabis licensing authority board a priority undertaking for the government in this?
Before we get to the board, let's get a project.
Yes.
Or they will not happen in Seriatim. They happen at the same time. So we have already, some of our ministers are already engaging persons who are interested in assisting us here. And in due course, the board will be appointed as necessary. But that is a multi-billion-dollar industry. We have the sun, we have the climate, and we have the land. So we will get that project going. Minister Swarat Singh had brought some proposals. Maybe on another day we can share what is happening with that cannabis, medical cannabis. Can we say thank you all very much then on this?
We still need to know, sorry, a couple of questions. In terms of, let's talk personnel. You swore in 2 new ministers today. Just tell me about your thought process there. Any idea who will be your speaker and your Senate president? And What about there are some boards outstanding NGC? For one, how are we filling those? So it's a personnel question. Where are we filling all of these spots?
Kishan, we appointed some members of the NGC board today. We appointed WASA, the WASA board. I don't remember, several boards today. Appointments have been, well, Cabinet has agreed to persons to serve on some of the boards. I think are very crucial. UDCOT is one of them, WASA is one of them, NGC is one of them. So several were done today. That's with the boards. The other question was, remind me.
Your House Speaker, your Senate President, you willing to tell us today, or we wait until tomorrow?
Well, today you said, before that you did mention we saw.
Oh, yeah, you did. And the reasoning for the swearing in of...
two persons sworn in. I think they will make very good representatives in the parliament. So one is Senior Attorney at Law, Daryl Allaha. He has been appointed as a minister in the office of the Prime Minister to assist us with all the work we have there, a lot of work. And we have appointed Mr. David Naked as a senator in the Senate. And he will work with Minister Watts in the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Youth and Sports. And my House Speaker, you'll find out tomorrow. My Senate President, you'll find out tomorrow. I think you may be surprised, but they're all the people.
I don't like surprises.
You don't like surprises. They're good people. We've done, we've worked together and we selected some of the best minds in our country and persons who have people's interests at heart, and they will serve well. Sorry to give
names for the WASA board. They'll be released.
WASA board.
Can
we save that for another day, Kichan? You'll get a release.
No, I'm not just making sure that we will get a release. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
so we approved today, and then there's a second part. It's called confirmation. So by next week, you confirm. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I say goodbye?
One more question, sorry. I spoke to Mr. Padarath yesterday, told me that you were working quite well from home.
Oh,
so
yeah.
just to have an idea on, how is that work from home procedure for you? And in terms of the diplomatic center and the Prime Minister's residence, we understand that there's some issues there. So hopefully, I'm hoping the media could also get a tour of that facility to see what it's looking like. And just to find out how, this work from home is working out for you.
Minister John has responsibility for UDCOT, who is the agency with responsibility there. So perhaps we can ask her to take you around. But I think they did a visit to see what is to be done, how long it will take. So that's happening. I am not part of that process. I'm walking around watching the buildings right now because there's just so much work to do. How is it working from home? Great. It's great. It's great working from home. I'm getting the job done. That is something we can consider. Remember during the COVID, there was a lot of talk about working from home. Then we wouldn't have to pay so much rentals for buildings, perhaps. There are a lot of good things that can happen.
So I can ask you to task Mr. Dominic Smith for our national work from home policy then.
He's public admin, certainly. No, it's something we should consider. It's happening all over the world. And yes, sir, it's great working from home. It is great. Thank you all.
Hey, wait, one more question. Sorry. In terms of the UE, you had some strong words, step aside and all of that. UE, although they do get a large government subvention, they have a level of independence. Do you worry that you might be creeping a little bit, overstepping a little bit with those words?
No, Kishan, let's get it clear. I have no intention of interfering with their syllabus, their curriculum, who they hire to teach, who they fire from teaching. Nothing to do with that. I'm talking about construction. To get this building and the grounds, get it up. I don't think UE has any special talent with constructing buildings and cleaning up 100 acres. So we will not be stepping at all on their remit. Their independence remains. This is about a construction site now.
Yeah. Are you calling for a meeting with them? Are you calling for a meeting, more collaboration?
I think my ministers have met them. The Minister of Treasury met, Minister Prakash Prasad met them. He told me that meeting lasted for 3 hours. And following up on that meeting, then the visit was planned, the site visit. And of course, there will have to be more meetings.
Is the property vested in UE at this point in time?
I can't remember. The lands, well, it was former sugar lands, state lands. I can't recall if we did the vest indeed. I can't recall. But we could check it, okay? Goodbye. See you all tomorrow. Tomorrow.